So, we've talked about this
many times
for years. Since
it's almost unbelievable.
I don't know. Since we started like stepbrothers, did we just become best friends?
Yep.
What's your favorite dinosaur? So, you have kind of literally unbelievable stories, and they sound fake, but they're real.
There were people there.
I can attest that they are real. They're kind of like a crazy movie. There's some synergy and similarities with crazy stories that I've had. So between the both of us, I think our stories are just uniquely weird and fascinating. Maybe some people know them, maybe some people don't. We've always talked about telling our stories. Us as a band has been, I mean, we can't shut the hell up. We
Never.
talk as much as we play. So I'd love you to tell our friends and fans what got
How'd I
my
get
buddy
into music? Yeah.
Because it's an awesome story, and I kind of want to kick back and hear it. you know?
Well, it's crazy because it actually goes with the title of this new album that we're putting out, The Story So Far. So how I got into music was out there. You guys are not going to believe this, I swear. I was telling Chase, who's running all this story the other day, and he was like, no way. I'm like, no, really. Ben literally says this can't be true, but people were there and witnessed it, and it's
allegedly.
No,
Allegedly.
My brother Dan, my agent. But it started. I was a baseball player before I ever did music. Before I ever did anything like this, and then one night I had a dream, and being Native American Indian, I had what they call a vision, because I remembered it so clearly. I was sitting in a room like this. They walked me into this room and they said, well, this is the green room. We're going to come get you when we're 5 minutes out. And I went, this room's not green. This doesn't make any sense. I'm a kid who's living in Oregon.
Hang on though. So what? You're in a room,
right?
You've never been in a green room before.
Yeah.
But what were you there for anyway?
I don't know. In my dream, I still don't know what's going on.
Oh, this is in your dream.
This is the dream part, right?
I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but because it ties into meeting you, which is crazy, because I am sitting in this room, and then I'm freaking out because I don't know what they're calling it, the green room. And then this person comes and grabs me and says, okay, we're ready to go. And they walk me down a hall, walk me down another hall, go through a door, and in this, I'm passing band members. There's drums, guitar, bass. There's an open microphone in the center. And I walk towards it, and when I look to my left, swear to you, there is a host sitting at a desk, but it's not Johnny Carson, who was the host when I was a kid. So I'm like, I don't know what this is. What's going on? What am I doing here? I'm freaking out. And then this gate rises, and outside the gate are these bleacher seats, and it's literally goes around, and I'm staring at it going, what am I doing here? Oh my God, like freaking out. What am I doing? And then they start playing, and I start singing, and the crowd's going nuts. And then bam, I wake up, and I went, that was real. And I'm a baseball player chasing my baseball dream. So now flash forward, I move.
I'm just glad you said baseball, not bass player.
Yeah.
You would be a strange bass player. Sorry.
No, it's true.
Keep going.
But I'll wrap that up, because when I did meet you, we met, and like I said, it was like we were instantly brothers or best friends. And I went I went to see you play at the Tonight Show. Yeah. And I was in the bleacher seats, but they stuck me in this VIP green room, and I'm like, this isn't it. But wow, this is crazy. Then I'm like, this isn't it either. That's crazy. But then when you came out, there was a gate. Everything, I was sitting on the other side of my dream. So I had to, and I watched you.
Watching your
I was
dream.
watching my dream, but that wasn't me yet. So I still wasn't there. And all the times that I was in a band, I'd step out on these talk shows and things and think, nope, this isn't it. This isn't it. But I found myself, this is the crazy part, that was this dream that I had. So then I roll into moving to California. I'm on the beach.
Where were you living?
I was living in North Hollywood, but I was actually at the time.
When you said moving to California, you from Oregon?
I'm from Oregon.
Right.
And I was living in a parking lot at the Gold's Gym in North Hollywood when this
Because you
happened.
drove down from where?
From Salem, Oregon.
See, that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
We can't give away all the stories.
Exactly.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah.
Continue with how you got into music.
Yeah.
But you came from Oregon in your car
Yes,
to Hollywood, California.
to sleep in a parking lot. Yeah,
That sounds logical.
yeah. So, but what's really crazy about this is I go to the beach with a friend, and this woman's reading his hands, palms, and his brother. And she asked me, and I'm like, no, I'm good. And she follows me down the sidewalk, and she said, I don't know you, I don't know anything about you, but you need to be pursuing music. And I went, what? Like, that's crazy. Like, it's the furthest thing from my mind. And she said, people are supposed to know you for music. And that just sat there, right? Then maybe 6 months goes by, and I go to a concert, and I'm at Universal. This is where it gets crazy. I go to Universal Studios in Universal Studios. I go see, it's like a Kiss FM show, right? I'm sitting with my brother, my childhood best friend, and my agent. And I'm watching the show. I get up to go to the bathroom. And when I go to the bathroom, I get literally mobbed by a bunch of teenage girls. Like teenagers, young girls, 20-somethings, freaking out. And I'm like, the security guard starts yelling at me. And he's literally like, dude, you can't be here. What? I'm like, I don't know who they think I am. This is stupid. Like, I don't know what's going on. So I go back to my seat, and I tell my brother what happened. My brother's laughing at me like, yeah, that didn't happen. I go, no, I swear. And so the concert's over. We leave. And it happens. And it happens with my agent watching, with Dan, with my brother. And the security guard starts yelling at me. And now there's multiple security guards yelling at me because I'm clogging up this area. And I don't know what the hell they want. So my brother takes my head and he goes, she's yelling at the guy, takes my head and just runs me through all these people. Just pushes it down and starts running. So he's like, follow me. And I'm running, following Dan and Cody. Get to the door. And mob mentality is that when you're being chased, the people in front of you just turn around and start chasing the other way. So they start running at me across that bridge that's out there in front. So they run towards me, and my brother goes, this way. And I start running, and I'm in boots. I can barely move. And there's security guard guarding the buses before Universal City Walk was there. They had these tour buses. And the security guard we push through him, and he's like, you can't be here. My brother's like, tell them that. We're being chased by a bunch of girls. So I get to the gate. My brother goes over, Dan goes over, and I go to get over, and this girl grabs me, and she goes, wham! I'm like, what do you want? Literally. And she goes, give me a hug. You better go. So I hug her. I jump the fence, and I just remember those little wooden slots. Yeah. And I get to the other side, and they're just like screaming on the other side. And we're on the other side of that fence going, oh my God, what just happened? This is like what the Beatles must have felt like, Right. But I didn't earn any of this. I'm nothing. So
just because you were really, really good looking?
Right. No, I don't know. So flash forward. Seriously, bro. Fast forward maybe a month.
Right.
I go to another concert. It's out in Oxnard or Ventura. I can't remember the city. But when I get there, it happens again. And I'm at the daytime concert. There's 2 concerts that day. When that happened, people just start coming in the aisle. Security comes and grabs me, and they said, who are you? And I'm like, no one. Like, well, you can't be doing this. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just standing here watching the show. So they move me in a hallway, and they stick me in a hallway, and they keep me there for like 15 or 20 minutes. And I'm like, screw this. I'm going back. They're like, you can't be out here. I said, yes, I can. Like, I'm not doing anything, and I don't know what's going on. This guy comes walking out of this door, and he hands me a lanyard, and he goes, who are you? I'm like, no one. He goes, are you a singer? Are you what? I'm like, no. Can you sing? I'm like, no. He goes, can you remember this? I'm like, literally like, I don't want to put me on the spot,
Crazy story.
And so he goes, can you remember this? And I remember it was like the Rainbow Girls and some label and what city they're from and what single. And my brain is going, why is he asking me this? And we walk side of stage, and there's a host out on the stage. I don't want to say who it is because he's a Vegas guy, and but he was young at the time, and doing his thing. And he goes, "Can you?" No, I'm not telling you.
It was Wayne Newton.
No, he wasn't young then. Yeah, shit. But what was crazy was that.
Just to be clear, it wasn't Wayne Newton.
No,
That sounded good.
it just sounded funny. But he literally says, "Can you remember this?" And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Because I want you to go out there and introduce the next group." And I thought, okay, sure. And so he calls off that host, and I walk out on stage with a mic and 2 spotlights, and they just start screaming. And I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Did you do your best Australian impression at this point?
Yeah. How's it going? No, wait.
Massive
How's it,
failure.
how's it going, mate? Yeah. So now I walk out there, and literally in my brain, all I could think was, I'm supposed to be here, but I didn't earn this. And so I ended up hosting the rest of that concert and the concert that night, and it just that turned everything. So, but I remember leaving that universe.
That was your first time on stage.
Yes.
Very first time.
Very first time.
That's
walking
amazing.
and so, but what was great too was when I got chased out of Universal, my agent had called me the next day, and Natalie Rawson was her name, and she said, "Do you play guitar? Do you sing? Do you?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, well, this is something we got to think about. And it wasn't like this was something that I went, oh, okay, now I got to learn how to do it. It just kept presenting itself. So one day, and this is how I got into music. I'm working at Jerry's Famous Deli, and I'm walking past this table, and I'm working in the back room from the kitchen, and this guy grabs me, and he goes, "Hey, what's your name?" I said, "Bryan." And he goes, "You a singer?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "That's funny. You've been singing walking past me all night." He goes, "We need to talk." And we swapped numbers, and he's a singer, songwriter, producer. And I ended up signing my first deal with Mars Azar, and as a producer who was working with Trevor Horn, who worked with Seal. And
Trevor's amazing.
yeah, and so they ended up producing my first stuff, and that's how I got into music. And it sounds like this made up thing, but it just kept presenting itself. And
for our friends and listeners, Trevor Horn produced Crazy,
Yo,
Seal, and
Killer.
all the hits. He was amazing. Anyway.
Yeah. And Mars was the guy who sat and played everything, programmed it with him. They sat in a room producing it, and Mars was the guy who discovered me, and that's how I got into music. But then I wanted that stage, and so I just found a way to chase it and get to that stage. So that's my crazy story about how music just kept presenting itself to me. But here we are. And so again, story so far, the new album from Elvis Monroe on Curtain Call Records is coming out. Like,
so all
very,
I got
very
out of
soon.
that whole story was blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Chased by chicks. Now I'm going to be a singer. Evs.
Yeah, Evs.
Evs.